It is so easy to confuse being busy with making progress. We've all been there, right? You end the day, you're completely wiped out, you've checked off a million things on your to-do list, and you think, wow, what a productive day. But what if all that activity is just you running in place? Today, we are going to dig into a question that might just change how you look at your entire career. So let's just start right there. I want you to actually pause for a second and ask yourself that question. Are you busy or are you growing? Are you just cranking through tasks or are you actually getting ahead? It feels like a small difference, but trust me, it's a huge one, and it can define everything. So let's unpack what this really means. And this brings us to this idea I call the transactional trap. This is that super comfortable spot you get into, where you're just so good at your job, so efficient at what you do, that your own expertise kind of becomes a cage. It actually stops you from moving on to the next big thing. And here's the thing that makes this trap so sneaky. It feels great to be in it. I mean, you're knocking out a ton of work, you get that awesome feeling of being a master at what you do, and after a while, it's just second nature. It's a routine that feels like you're a top performer, but really, it's a career plateau in disguise. It really just boils down to two totally different ways of thinking. Okay, on one side, you've got that transactional mindset. It's all about how much and how fast. How many tickets can I close today? But then you've got the growth mindset. That one asks different questions like, what's the impact of this work? How can we make it better? And what's the next step for me? The real danger here isn't the work itself. It's getting stuck in that first mindset for good. So this leads us to this little ego trap that is so easy to fall into. I call it the myth of indispensability. You know the feeling, you're the go-to person, the only one who knows how to do that thing. It feels amazing, but honestly, it's a really dangerous place to park your career. Sound familiar? They need me. The whole thing would fall apart if I wasn't here to handle this. It's what we tell ourselves when we're deep in the trap. And look, for a little while, that might even be true. You feel this pride that you're the engine keeping it all humming. But there's a reality check we gotta talk about. Because here's the honest-to-goodness truth. That feeling of being irreplaceable, it's mostly an illusion. Almost any repeatable task can be documented, taught to someone else, and handed off. If your entire value is tied up in being the person who does the thing, well, you're building your career on some really shaky ground. So yeah, just staying put has real consequences. That comfort zone is so tempting, I get it. But it comes with all these hidden costs that can just quietly put the brakes on your career until one day you wake up and feel totally and completely stuck. So what are these pitfalls? Well, first off, there's that dependency myth we just busted. You're way more replaceable than you think. Second, it's almost impossible to stand out from the crowd when you're only being measured by volume. But the biggest cost, the real killer, is the career slowdown. While you're busy mastering the same task for the 100th time, you're missing out on chances to learn something new and evolve. Okay, that's enough doom and gloom about the problem. Let's talk about the solution, because the good news is there is a super clear, totally actionable way to break out of this trap and get back in the driver's seat of your career. All right, so this path forward has 4 key steps, and it doesn't start with just ditching your current job. No, it starts by becoming the undisputed master of it. Once you are the expert, then you start expanding. You volunteer for stuff that's related to what you do. As you're doing that, you're building trust and relationships with people outside your team. And then, this is the most important part, you delegate. You teach someone else your magic so that you are free to evolve. I really want to hammer home that third step. Building relationships isn't just, schmoozing or networking. It's a strategic tool. When people in other parts of the company know you and trust you, you start to see the business in a totally new way. And more importantly, they start to see you as someone who's ready for bigger and better things. And listen, this is not a one-and-done kind of thing. The real goal here is to turn this whole process into a continuous cycle. It's like building your own personal engine for career growth that you can fire up again and again. So think of it like this continuous loop, right? You're always spending some of your time mastering what you're doing now, while you're also spending time delegating the stuff you've already perfected. And doing that is what creates the space for you to evolve into new roles and new responsibilities. This is the engine that keeps you from ever stagnating again. So look, if you only take one single thing away from this entire explainer, I want it to be this. Your current job, no matter how repetitive or transactional it feels, that is your foundation. It's the solid ground you're building on. But it is not, and it should never, ever be your final destination. And that just leaves us with one final question for you. Right now, think about your to-do list, your daily grind. What is one task that you have absolutely mastered that you could start the process of evolving away from starting this week? Your next big move starts right there.